The aviation industry has witnessed its fair share of accidents and disasters. While many of these incidents have led to significant improvements in aircraft design and safety protocols, they've also left indelible marks on the collective memory of those who follow the industry. One such tragedy occurred on July 17, 1996, when TWA Flight 800, a Boeing 747-100, fell into the Atlantic Ocean after an explosion just a little while after takeoff from John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York. In this video, we're going to take a look at the events surrounding the crash of TWA Flight 800. We'll explore the factors that contributed to the disaster, the exhaustive investigation that followed, and the lasting impact on aviation safety. On the fateful evening of July 17, 1996, TWA Flight 800, a commercial flight bound for Charles de Gaulle International Airport in Paris, prepared for departure from JFK Airport in New York. The Boeing 747 jumbo jet was under the command of Captain Ralph Kevorkian, First Officer Oliver Crick, and Flight Engineer Richard Campbell. On board the airplane were a total of 230 souls, including passengers and crew, eagerly awaiting the start of their journey across the Atlantic. But little did they know that this journey would never be completed. TWA Flight 800 exploded in midair a mere 12 minutes after takeoff, at 8:31 p.m., breaking apart and crashing into the Atlantic Ocean off the shore of Long Island. The disaster killed all 230 people on board, and the incident rapidly became the focus of intense media investigation and speculation. In the weeks following the crash, various theories emerged about the cause of the explosion, including terrorism, a missile strike, or possible mechanical failure. The National Transportation Safety Board undertook an extensive investigation that lasted for more than 4 years, ultimately concluding that the most likely cause of the accident was a fuel-air explosion in the center wing fuel tank, ignited by a short circuit in the aircraft's wiring. The tragedy of TWA Flight 800 not only shocked the world, but also led to significant changes in aviation safety. Following the devastating mid-air explosion of TWA Flight 800, a massive search and rescue operation was launched. The U.S. Coast Guard, Navy, and Air National Guard, as well as local authorities, all joined forces in an attempt to locate any potential survivors and recover debris from the crash site. In the hours and days following the tragedy, boats, helicopters, and aircraft combed the waters off the coast of Long Island, while divers searched beneath the surface. The extensive effort was met with challenges, as the ocean currents dispersed wreckage over a wide area, making it difficult to locate and retrieve. As the search continued, family and friends of the victims gathered at nearby hotels, awaiting for any news about their loved ones. The emotional toll on those waiting for answers was immense, as hope for survivors quickly faded. Within hours, it became clear that there were no survivors from the crash of TWA Flight 800. The focus of the operation shifted from search and rescue to recovery and investigation. Divers and recovery crew worked tirelessly to locate and retrieve debris, human remains, and personal belongings from the ocean floor. Over the course of several months, more than 95% of the aircraft wreckage was recovered, along with the remains of the 230 victims. The debris was carried to a secure hangar, where experts would methodically analyze it in order to discover the reason for the explosion and subsequent crash. Meanwhile, the NTSB took the lead in the investigation, working alongside other agencies, including the Federal Aviation Administration, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Central Intelligence Agency. As the investigation progressed, several theories began to emerge, with some speculating that a missile strike or an act of terrorism was responsible for the crash. Following the devastating TWA Flight 800 crash, the recovery of the wreckage was a crucial first step in finding out what caused the accident. Afterward, investigators from the NTSB, FAA, FBI, and CIA jumped into action and embarked on a complex and exhaustive inquiry to determine the cause of the tragedy. The investigation was a meticulous process that involved analyzing data from the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder, examining thousands of recovered pieces of debris, and conducting numerous tests and simulations. It was an arduous and painstaking task that required immense attention to detail. As the investigation progressed, several theories emerged about what caused the explosion. At first, some speculated that a missile strike, possibly from a military exercise gone awry, or an act of terrorism, had caused the explosion. This theory gained traction when witnesses reported seeing a streak of light in the sky near the aircraft's flight path around the time of the crash. The FBI pursued this line of inquiry, examining radar data, conducting missile trajectory simulations, and analyzing the wreckage for evidence of a missile impact. However, no conclusive evidence supporting the missile theory was found. Another theory suggested that a bomb planted on the aircraft had caused the explosion. The FBI investigated this possibility, looking for forensic evidence such as traces of explosives and scrutinizing passenger and working crew backgrounds. Despite their efforts, no definitive evidence supporting the bomb theory was discovered. As the missile and bomb theories were gradually ruled out, investigators turned their attention to potential mechanical failures. They discovered that the explosion had originated in the center wing fuel tank, which had been filled with a volatile mixture of fuel and air at the time of the crash. This revelation led the NTSB to focus on what could have ignited the fuel-air mixture, sparking the catastrophic explosion. After conducting extensive tests and analyzing the recovered wiring, the NTSB concluded that the most likely source of ignition was a short circuit in the aircraft's wiring. This short circuit likely created a voltage spike, which in turn caused a spark within the center wing fuel tank, igniting the fuel-air mixture and leading to the explosion. It took a long time for investigators to figure out what really caused the crash of TWA Flight 800, but after more than 4 years of careful examination, the NTSB released its final report in August of 2000. According to the final investigation, it was once again concluded that the explosion that led to the airplane crash was most likely caused by a combustible mixture of gasoline and air in the center wing fuel tank, which was sparked by a short circuit in the plane's wiring. This meant that it wasn't an external cause like terrorism or a missile strike that caused the crash, but rather an issue with the aircraft itself. The NTSB's investigation didn't just uncover the cause of the crash, though. It also identified several areas where aircraft design and maintenance could be improved to make air travel safer. Based on the investigation's findings, the NTSB released a bunch of safety recommendations, many of which were adopted by the aviation industry. One of the most significant recommendations was developing and implementing fuel tank inerting systems. These systems reduce the risk of fuel tank explosions by replacing the oxygen within the tank with inert gas, such as nitrogen, which does not support combustion. The FAA mandated the installation of such systems on newly manufactured aircraft and provided guidelines for retrofitting existing aircraft. Additionally, the investigation into TWA Flight 800 revealed that aging aircraft wiring could be susceptible to insulation breakdown, leading to short circuits and potential ignition sources. In response, the NTSB and FAA issued new guidelines for the inspection and maintenance of aircraft wiring, with a focus on mitigating the risk of electrical arcing and short circuits. The tragedy of Flight 800 also led to improvements in emergency response procedures and protocols. The lessons learned from the recovery operation and the difficulties faced by family members of the victims in obtaining information prompted changes in the way authorities communicate with the public and manage the aftermath of such disasters. While the loss of Flight 800 was a heart-wrenching tragedy, it ultimately led to meaningful advancements in aviation safety. The implementation of new safety measures, improved aircraft design, and revised maintenance protocols have all contributed to reducing the risk of similar accidents occurring in the future. The tragic loss of Flight 800 left an indelible mark on the aviation industry and the world. The 230 lives lost in the disaster left families, friends, and communities devastated, and the nation collectively mourned their loss. In memory of all those who perished in the crash, the TWA Flight 800 International Memorial was established at Smith Point County Park on Long Island, near the crash site. The memorial features a curved black granite wall inscribed with the names of the victims, a lighthouse with an internal flame, and a reflecting pool. The site serves as a place for quiet contemplation, reflection, and remembrance. Each year, on the anniversary of the tragedy, family members, friends, and others gather at the memorial to pay tribute to the lives lost. The passage of time has not diminished the profound sense of loss and grief experienced by those who knew the victims, and the annual gathering serves as an important reminder of the disaster's human toll. The tragedy of Flight 800 has had a lasting impact on the aviation industry, leading to significant improvements in aircraft safety and design. The lessons learned from the investigation have been applied to prevent similar accidents in the future. The legacy of the lives that were lost is a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance in ensuring the safety of air travel. As we remember the victims of Flight 800 and their families, we also recognize the determination and dedication of the investigators, recovery crew, and countless others who worked tirelessly to uncover the truth behind the disaster. Their efforts have contributed to making air travel safer for all, and their work stands as a testament to the importance of learning from tragedy to create a better future.